everyone. Welcome to my channel. My name is Adina. I'm an intuitive astrologer. And in these videos, I go over the energy and the astrology for the month ahead. So in this video, we are going to look at the astrology for March of 2023. I've created a nice presentation to kind of walk you through all of this significant energy. At the end of the video, we are going to go over some of the energy that Canada is moving through because I live in Canada. I'm Canadian. And I want to help other Canadians kind of prepare for what may be coming. And, I love Canada. I love my country. So I don't see a lot of Canadian astrology online, to be completely honest. So without further ado, let's get into the presentation. All right. So here we have this monthly intuitive and astrological message for March of 2023. So the major astrology transits that we are moving through this month, March 2nd, we have Mercury entering Pisces. March 7th, we have the full moon in Virgo. And then right after, we have Saturn moving right into Pisces. March 16th, we have Venus entering Taurus. March 19th, we have Mercury entering Aries. March 20th, we have the sun entering Aries. March 21st, we have the new moon in Aries. So we have a lot of Aries energy coming up. March 23rd, we have Pluto entering Aquarius, which is another big one. And then March 25th, we have Mars entering Cancer. And this is another big one because Mars has been in Gemini since August. So we've been dealing with this Mars and Gemini energy for like half of a year. And then we had Mars go retrograde in Gemini. So we're definitely going to feel the shift of this energy because we just kind of become accustomed to it for so long. So let's talk about Saturn and Pisces first. So one of the major themes and topics that really come up with Saturn and Pisces, and even when I dive into my intuition to kind of get a feel for, what this Saturn Pisces energy is going to bring, something that keeps coming up is that individuals and people are going to be developing solid spiritual practice. We are going to see more of people developing solid spiritual practices, trusting their intuition, working with their intuition, trying to learn about their intuition and maybe how it works for them, how to use it, which I think is great. I think this is amazing. And I think that a lot of people are doing this because it almost feels as if we have to. Those who we may have trusted in the past, they're just not really there to guide us anymore. So we're looking towards each other and we're looking for new ways of, getting answers. And I think it's great. I think it's great for people to develop. I think it's actually a must at this time to develop a solid spiritual practice. Now, I'm also going to record a Saturn and Pisces video where I'm going to dive more deep into this energy and probably talk about, past energies that we've dealt with, especially in Canada with Saturn and Pisces, just to better prepare for what this could bring us. But, on a whole, I really see more people developing spiritual practices and not only just like figuring out how to use their intuition like as a compass, as a guide for them. And then I put here diminishing of boundaries, rules, and restrictions because that's what Saturn is. Saturn is boundaries, rules, restrictions. Saturn also brings challenge and delays. So with Saturn being in Pisces, Pisces is very like dreamlike and kind of dissolves all boundaries. It dissolves kind of anything that is solid. Pisces is not solid. It's very flowy and floaty. And Saturn is like opposite of that. So these are two opposite energies moving together. And I also apologize for my voice because I've been sick, but I still really wanted to come on and do this for you guys. So please don't mind the little squeaky, raspy voice. But anyways, so yeah, these are two energies coming together that are opposite. And it's definitely going to be interesting. I think we are going to see a mixed bag with this energy. I think that in a positive way that this energy can bring like solid spiritual practices and developing a strong spiritual connection and really learning about our consciousness and tapping into that energy, learning how to work with our intuition. But on the other hand, for those who are already struggling, I think that this may be challenging for them. And that's kind of what I've been feeling like with my intuition when I really tap into this. And I also put it here, like, what is reality? Like, we may feel like at times what we're hearing, what we're seeing we don't know what is real. And this is another reason why we need our intuition and know how to like really use that as a guide, because I think we're entering times where we are going to be questioning, what is real? Is what they're saying real? We have to be very discerning. And then I also put here like crackdown on pharmaceuticals. And the reason why I put this is because Pisces can kind of represent that because it is ruled by Neptune. But it came to me and my intuition, and it was like where I don't know if like people are going to stop or if this is going to be, it's really crazy because with this too, I get like another mixed bag where I feel like, again, people that are already struggling with like these energies may have a tougher time with it. But people that are kind of already in tune with what's going on, using their intuition, I think people may start taking more of like a healthy route or looking into more natural ways of healing. Not that I think that medicine isn't good. Medicine definitely has its place in the world, but I feel like people may start looking towards like natural ways for some things. That was just something that came up. And then we have Pluto in Aquarius. So Pluto is going to come into Aquarius, and Aquarius rules the collective and the people, right? And we already see this energy coming up, right? People standing up for their rights and freedoms. We see protests happening all around the world. So we do see this energy already moving in. And I think that once Pluto moves in, so Pluto only comes into Aquarius this year for a couple of months, and then we'll move back out, move back in. So Pluto kind of comes in and out of Aquarius for like, I think it's like the next year and a half before he really moves in fully. But what this is going to do is give us a taste of what we have to look forward to over the next 20 years, because once Pluto moves in completely, he's going to stay there for 20 years. So we want to pay attention between March and June, what comes up, especially on an individual level. You want to know where you have Aquarius in your chart, because you'll better be able to better prepare for this. I'm also going to make a video on Pluto and Aquarius that will be more guided toward individuals. And I think I actually might do like an all signs for that. So you're able to see, if you have Aquarius in this house, Pluto's coming in, what can this cause and stuff like that. So definitely watch for that. And so, yeah, I think that so I like this picture because it has the man standing there, like, oh, there's like a flip. It has a man standing there, kind of like wondering what direction he should take. And I feel like that is where we are at, where there is a lot going on in the world. And it's like, what direction do we take? You know? And he's standing there. Do I go left? Do I do right? And this isn't like political or anything. It's just that our world is becoming so divided that I really think it is going to end up being like two different worlds in a sense. So I put this there because it really, I felt, was a good representation of this energy and kind of what we're coming into. And it says freedom at the bottom, which I really liked because it is. And Pluto and Aquarius, I think we're going to see a lot of that, and people standing up for their freedoms and standing up for change. And people are waking up to what is going on in the world, excuse me, and what's actually happening. So now let's get into the energy for Canada. So right here, I have the major events for Canada, which is I listed the transits that we have for March. And then on this side, this is Canada's birth chart. So I put it here like this so you're able to see the planets and which houses that they're moving in for Canada. But in the next slide, I'm getting into the new moon and the full moon for March. But I put this up because I wanted to touch on some energy that we've already been moving through in Canada, like Uranus on Canada's natal Pluto, which in the 11th house, which has really caused some upheaval. And that's what we've been seeing over the past couple of years, especially with the trucker convoy that happened a year ago. There was major activations with that. Maybe one day I'll do a video on that because the transits for that time was really kind of crazy how it showed up. But Pluto represents transformation, and Uranus is like upheaval and change, and rebellion. And it's in the 11th house of people and social groups and us as a collective and even the third house can be that because the third house is like community, neighbors. But I feel like the 11th house and the seventh house is really where we want to watch for the people of Canada. And the 11th house is where we're seeing people come together to fight for their rights and freedoms. And we see that all across Canada now, people standing up for the rights and freedoms. We're going to see more of that because there's major activations happening very, very soon. So another thing I want to note on is that Mars has been in Gemini in the 12th house, in Canada's 12th house, passing over Venus a few times. So that kind of explains some of the energy that we have been moving through. But Mars is going to enter the first house in Cancer. It's going to hit that stellium of planets. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And I might make a video on that more so we can kind of focus more on that. But Mars is going to come in there at the end of the month and activate all the energy as well, which if you can see the kite configuration right here, this is the kite configuration. See how it's like a grand trine, and then we have this sextile here to Pluto. There will be an activation of that. And Uranus has been activating all of that energy as well, which is why we're seeing this. This is people coming together, fighting for their rights and freedoms. This is belief systems, people questioning their belief systems and what they knew and what they were taught and all that stuff. And then this is Canada itself. This is Canada. The first house represents, the body, the person, the individual, the event, who's ever charted is. This is Canada as a whole. Mars is coming in there. So the one thing with this is that Mars is not Canada's most malefic planet, but it's going to be disruptive. And Mars brings in, Mars can bring in aggression. Mars can bring in fights. Mars can bring in anger. Mars is violent sometimes, like Mars, that's what Mars is. And in this chart, Mars rules Aries, which is the 10th house of authority, those in power and authority of Canada, right? So, and the interesting thing is that in the natal chart, Canada has Neptune here in its house of power, like authority and basically government. That's really how I look at the 10th house for a country, is like its government. It is Neptune. So this has actually questioned, it's squaring the first house. So it's actually had me questioning the fact is like Canada always felt like a free country, but have we really always been free, or has it been an illusion? Almost in a sense. I'm not saying yes or no. I'm bringing these topics up because I find they're interesting and I think it's, it's interesting. Neptune rules illusion and, dissolving of boundaries and all of that stuff. So it's almost like, the authority was pulling one over our eyes. The government was pulling one over our eyes, making us think that we were free. But this whole time, have we really been free? I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. So yeah, this is the birth chart. And I just wanted to go over those energies that we've been moving through. And now let's get into the full moon and the new moon. So right here, we have the full moon that is happening March 7th. It'll be at Virgo, 16 degrees, which is right here. This is right on top of Canada's nodes. So we have the moon conjunct Canada's north node. We have the sun conjunct Canada's south node. The south node is always where we are moving out of. The north node is where we are moving to. This is a huge activation. And then it's hitting the energy. So it's squaring Venus in the 12th house with Mars there. But it's also, the sun is making a sextile to Uranus and Pluto, because there's Uranus still on top of Canada's Pluto, like exactly, even almost by minute. And then the north node and the moon are trining this. So not only, like, Canada is about to have like major shift in energy, major change. And that's really why I wanted to start focusing on the energy for Canada, because it's going through some massive, massive change. And not only are these nodes being activated, this is activated, this is activated. It's like, and this is our belief systems and people realizing that, maybe the government's lying, or maybe things haven't been truthful. Maybe the news is not being truthful, stuff like that. Maybe we are not being told the whole story. And this is community, right? Neighbors maybe coming together, supporting one another, which would be great. Supporting one another. Now with the square to Venus in the 12th house with Mars, I don't know. This could be like people really like, so we have Mercury. So let's touch on something for a second. We have Mercury entering Pisces March 2nd. And I really look at this, but first Mercury conjunct Saturn. So this is the story, right? Mercury conjunct Saturn is like there is some information coming in from authority. And then the next day, Mercury goes into Pisces. There's confusion. So we hear something that we don't quite understand, doesn't make sense. Then all of this happens. So it's like, I don't know. And again, these are just my thoughts, right? But I almost feel as maybe we hear something or something is said, something is pushed on us, something happens with information, communication, media, stuff like that, because that's what Mercury represents. And then we're confused, and then people make like just like, I've had enough. Enough is enough. Da, 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 So yeah, I mean, again, and then we have Mercury conjunct Jupiter. So again, that's like information. And I just think that sorry, my voice is starting to go. I'm gonna have to hurry and end this because I don't know if my voice is gonna last till the end of the video. Oh no. Um, so yeah, I really think we're gonna be hearing some type of information. Definitely some type of information that is gonna be disruptive. Is going to be disruptive, but it's disruptive, but we really come together as a country, as a community, as neighbors. We band together and we really fight for our rights and freedoms. Like that's honestly kind of how I see it. It's going to be disruptive, it may be challenging, but that's what I see. And then the new moon in Aries, which is in the house of government authority. The new moon with Mercury, it's like more news. And then Venus in the North Node. Venus is conjunct the North Node so this is like people deciding like this is the direction I want to go. This is what we need to fight for Canada, or this is what we have to do. There's like this with Venus there, it's like people coming together. Venus is relationships or self-value, self-worth. Really a coming together of people and connections is what I feel in order to get us to where we feel Canada needs to go. Like that's really what I feel. Even with my intuition, like, that's what I'm feeling. So this energy isn't as activated as this one with the full moon, but the new moon is, again, it's with Mercury in the 10th house. Then we have Venus conjunct the North Node. And then we also have Venus in this trine to, so we have Venus in a square to Canada's natal Mercury and in a trine to Canada's natal Mars. So this could be even communication. This could have something to actually to do with financial systems, to be completely honest, because Venus can even rule financial systems like material possessions, finances. The second house is material possessions and finances. So we may hear something around this time that has to do with money, the banks, financial system, something like that. And yeah, so just something to be aware of. Sorry, I'm just looking through to make sure I got everything. Yeah, the big one I really wanted to discuss. I mean, the new moon is going to kind of square Canada's moon, which could be like an activation. But yeah, I mean that's basically everything that I see. And then the universal message that I have for this month, when I tap into my intuition and I meditate, I really go into my intuition and see like kind of what comes to me. And what came to me for some reason, Canadian borders, Windsor and Niagara. So I'm not saying this is good. I'm not saying this is bad, but this is just what came to me during a meditation. And then also take your power back, follow your instincts. There's going to be a lot of awareness showing up. Don't believe everything you hear and see, and use your intuition, follow your internal compass. So I literally wrote down what I wrote down when I was in meditation. I kind of just write it down as it comes. Sometimes it makes sense, sometimes it doesn't, but afterwards it usually makes sense. So the Canadian borders and the Windsor and Niagara thing, I don't know what that means. It doesn't necessarily mean something bad, but it did come up. So I wanted to put it in there. And then I also want to just mention the Cosmic Academy of Astrology. This is an amazing school. And the reason why I'm kind of like talking about this is because I went there and this is where I learned astrology. And I really love Heather and her team. And it's great for people that want to learn astrology, learn how to start interpreting their chart and their family's chart. I've really used it to start learning about my children and connecting to my children's energy and understanding, their energy and how they communicate and how they process their emotions. So I listed these 4 questions. And if you check one of these 4 questions, you need to click the link in the description to check out her school. Because honestly, it's super amazing. And so if you get 10% off when you use coupon code ADENA, ADEANA. That's also in the description below. But, I really don't like to promote things that I don't believe in. And I love the Cosmic Academy of Astrology because I love how Heather has built her program where it's like building blocks. And you learn a lesson and then you grow on it. She doesn't give you all of this stuff that you have to absorb. So it's really easy to kind of learn in this slow kind of paced way where it's easy to comprehend and easy to process. And after like halfway through the program, you start building your confidence. You're able to start interpreting. Well, you're able to start interpreting charts literally within the first few lessons because she really gives you the foundations right at the beginning. So you can start looking at your chart and start interpreting it, picking it apart, figuring things out. So yeah, I highly recommend this school if you want to learn how to learn more about astrology and learn how to start looking at your chart, your friends, your family, whatever. And then, of course, if this resonates with you, don't forget to like and subscribe. And then you can also, if you want a personal reading with me, you can email me directly. Or if you want to follow me on my other social media platforms, you can as well. Instagram is at adena.intuitive.astrologer and TikTok is at adena.astrologer. So thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next one.